The 3,500 acre mark. That was just flown by the multi-mission aircraft from the Division of Fire Prevention and Control for the state of Colorado. A great asset for us, and they've been very helpful throughout this. We don't have a map here currently because the fire is changing so rapidly. This fire was 900 acres last night, and first flight this morning it was 1,800 acres. Seeing that sort of fire growth overnight speaks to the dryness of the fuels and the dryness of the atmosphere. Those things combined with wind really lead us into the situation that we see here. So currently we have about 270 firefighters on the ground and numerous helicopters and fixed wing aircraft working the air show from above. We're utilizing retardant and water. Any moment now we're expecting to see what's called a scooper. It's something we don't see around here very often, but it's a fixed wing aircraft that will actually fly, and it lands, skitters along the top of the water and grabs water and comes back up. The real benefit to these aircraft is that they can turn around when you got lakes very close and put a lot of water on the fire very quickly. So they'll be dipping out of one of the local reservoirs here locally, and we're really looking forward to that asset being here. So the fire behavior is pretty much what you're seeing here. It's pretty active in what we call backing, so it's moving downhill against the wind, and as it does that, you know, it's a slow moving process, but then as it backs to the bottom, it does what we call slope reverse. It comes back up the hill in a pretty aggressive fashion. So we're seeing that repeat itself on the back side of the fire. On the front side of the fire, where it's got wind pushing with the topography, so wind and the hills aligning and pushing uphill, that's where we're seeing some of the more aggressive growth. Currently, we are seeing fire growth due to the terrain around this fire in three cardinal directions. It's moving off to the west, it's moving off to the north, and it's moving off to the east. We're having pretty good success on the east side. We've just had a wind shift, which we're all paying very close attention to. We've had wind basically out of the west, out of the north, but a little bit, but now it's swung into a much stronger northerly wind, and you can see that smoke bending over if you were to look over there. So again, we are looking into the evening. We'll be having a night shift this evening, overnight, trying to do what we can, but we are facing a pretty significant shortage of resources nationally. Fortunately, we've had great support because of the potential impacts that this fire poses to the community around here. So we are getting good support. The fact that we're going to have a complex incident management team coming in tomorrow, they bring a lot more resources to bear, and they're going to be able to do a lot more than we've been able to do with our Type 3 incident command structure. So tomorrow it's basically going to be a lot more of the same. We're hoping that we're going to get some hotshot crews out in. We've also got some Type 2 crews. Those hotshot crews are really the tip of the spear. They're the folks that when we've got challenging terrain, technical assignments, they're the ones that we put out there to do that. So we're really looking forward to those assets getting here, but they are in real short supply, and the fact that we've got two coming is helpful, but boy, we'd take all we could get. With that, I think we'll continue to utilize the aircraft that we have. You know, obviously we had that start down south, that's in Boulder County, so I don't have much information on that. I wish I did, but I would talk to the Boulder County Sheriff about that one, and I can't share anything about what I just don't have any information. So as we look to tomorrow, again, we're going to continue to take opportunities where we can, but our main focus is firefighter and public safety. So if we can't get in and engage this fire safely and make sure that our folks can get in and get out and do the job that they need to, we're not going to commit those resources. So we're doing what we can, where we can, when we can. So with that, that's pretty much my update. Again, we're at 0% containment currently. I hope that we're going to see that start to improve, but it's going to, really depend on Mother Nature giving us a break. Looking forward with our forecast, looks like we're hot, dry, and windy until Friday, and when the chances of moisture are going to increase, but it's not significant. So I thank you all for coming out. I look forward to the question and answer, and I'll hand it off to the sheriff.
Hey, thank you, Mike. My name is John Fan. I'm the Larimer County Sheriff. My last name is F as in Frank, E-Y-E-N. So first off, for those of you who are local, let me orient where you're looking at. Right now behind me, fire activity is, you're looking at Sylvandale Ranch. You're used to Larimer County or live in this area, you've passed by this many times. Where the fire activity is currently is actually the north side of Highway 34 and the mouth of the Big Thompson Canyon. So that kind of gives you an idea of where we are. At this time, we've instituted several mandatory evacuation phases as well as voluntary evacuation phases. During those times, we've contacted 3,245 folks in the mandatory evacuation area. Voluntary evacuation area is number 826. During these evacuations, we are coordinating with the Department of Human Services as well as our EMS providers in the area, Thompson Valley EMS, to take care of those folks who have special needs or challenges in evacuation. So we've had a couple of instances where folks are taking care of their elderly parents and can't move them themselves, and we're making sure that gets managed. Unfortunately, we have some areas where there is some impingement on residential structures. We don't know if they're involved yet or not. We just know that the fire is backing into some of those areas. And unfortunately, the reason that happens is, like Mike was talking about, our number one priority after the evacuations is keeping our firefighters safe as well. And so we haven't had a chance to put teams into those areas just because of the fire activity. And we will do that as soon as it is safe for them, and we will give everybody an update. We will do that as quickly as we can as soon as it's safe to do that, okay? Let's see, so when you get notified, if you want to get updates about this, I would encourage you to go to nocoalerts.org and sign up for alerts. That way you can be advised of what the evacuations are in real time, and we would ask that you follow evacuation routes. Let me talk real quick about animals. We're a very rural county in this area. Lots of folks have large animals, and so that's always a concern, right? Because your animals and your pets are a part of your family as well, just like they are in my household. So we have taken steps to make sure that you have a place to go with them as well. We initially had them out at the ranch, but as you know, the Larimer County Fair is starting up, and the 4-H projects and all those things are just as important to the citizens of Larimer County as taking care of this fire is. So we were working with Island Grove over in Weld County. We've contacted all the owners whose animals we have taken to the ranch initially, and we have moved them over to Island Grove. I heard that a state CSU veterinarian services and the state veterinarian services are also working with us to make sure that all the animals stay safe at this time. So this is especially important. If you get a notification of a voluntary evacuation and you have a large animal, we don't want you doing that at night. We don't want to help you do that at night. We want to do it when it's safe. So help us help you and move those animals out when it's early, and help us make arrangements for that so that we can keep you and your family safe. Let's see. Okay, so lots and lots of folks are offering to help. I get those telephone calls all the time. I'm seeing it on my Facebook page. I'm going to tell you, you know what, we have a lot of resources. We greatly appreciate the outpouring of support and faith that the community is showing us. I'm actually going to refer you to the Red Cross. So contact your local Red Cross and see what you can do, whether it's providing your skill sets, your passions, whether it's food, whatever that is, but contact them and they will help coordinate getting that out to the first responders in all the different areas that we're at. Don't drop things by, because we're inundated with that stuff. And again, we're very blessed because you're a giving community. So thank you for that, but actually I would go to your Red Cross for that. Finally, let's see. I have to echo all of the thanks, right? We have about 250, 275 firefighters. We have federal partners, state partners, local partners, and we could not do this. When the initial call for help went out yesterday at 10:39 in the morning, within a couple hours, we had over 250 folks here willing to help us keep the citizens of Larimer County safe. Forest Service was here. They were a great partner with their air assets, and they continue to be a great partner. And I cannot be thankful enough that when time and crisis hit like this, that we have all those partners that we can rely on. So we are very, very blessed in that fashion. If you need additional information, I would encourage you to go to larimer.gov and look at the information that's there on the website, and contact our JIC, which is 970-980-2500. JIC is Joint Information Center. They can answer a lot of your questions if you need them, or get you the right resources. They're open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day. And I look forward to answering what I may have missed in your question and answer period. So I'm going to turn it over to the interim Roosevelt National Forest Director, Jason Sieg. How did I do that? Good, okay?
Good afternoon, Jason Sieg, SIEG. I'm currently the acting forest supervisor on the Arapahoe and Roosevelt National Forests and Pawnee National Grassland. Just want to reiterate, this incident is a prime example of how close coordination and communication with our state, county, and local partners has put us in really the best position possible to deal with the difficult conditions that we're currently seeing on the ground. And as you can see behind us, the conditions are very difficult right now as we enter into this evening. Also want to give a big thanks to all the law enforcement personnel who have been assisting with evacuations these last 2 days. The evacuation process for this incident is one of the most efficient and timely processes I've seen on an emerging fire incident. So big thanks to those personnel. At this time, we will start a brief 5-minute question and answer session. And so this is your opportunity to ask some basic questions. We may not be able to answer all of them at this time because this is still very much a dynamic situation. Thank you.
How challenging is this wind direction change that you guys are going to? Would you consider it a storming wind, or would you consider
It's very challenging, not so much in the wind speed, but the sudden change of direction.
Is there a known cause at this point?
Cause is not confirmed at this point, but currently under investigation.
Can you tell us more about where those residential structures that might be in trouble are located?
I would defer that to our sheriff. I don't have information on where those structures are located currently.
So there's a couple of areas that we're looking at, mostly on our eastern side and up the canyon. So to give an exact description of where those are, that's going to be tough to do, but that's where we're seeing the fire activity. And I just want to reiterate, we're unaware that we've lost any structures at this point. We just know that fire is moving into that area and we're trying to keep it out.
Yesterday we spoke about contacts, devices that were contacted rather. Is that still the case? Those 3,200 contacted in the mandatory evacuations, those are devices?
That is correct.
I know rain isn't in the forecast, but what condition do you hope, what could you use in the overnight hours to try and gain a little ground on this?
Well, certainly we need some more moisture in the atmosphere. The relative humidity has been extraordinarily dry. We're under a red flag warning today for winds, temperatures, and relative humidity. So moisture would be good in any form, whether it's atmospheric or rain. I don't see a rain coming anytime soon in a significant amount that we would need to change the real behavior of this fire, but anything would help at this point.
Any progress on any front that you had today? I mean, is there a bright spot in all this?
Well, there's a ton of bright spots, and I would say the first one is that we've had no injuries from either the firefighters or the public. So that's a huge bright spot, and I can hang my hat on that. But as far as where we're getting good work done on the ground. We're starting to get a few anchor points, places that we can base work from. But the terrain is very challenging. And again, like I spoke about earlier, getting the right resources in the right place at the right time is really what we need. As we get more of those crews coming in, those specialist crews, the hotshot crews, that's really going to help us out. But I think the fact that we don't know of any structure loss so far, I'll hang my hat on those things.
I have a question for the sheriff. If you could please repeat, you mentioned evacuation, voluntary and non-voluntary. Could you repeat those numbers again about how that's split?
So it's 35, of course I grabbed the wrong phone. Hang on a second, I apologize.
As they begin to repeat information here, we'll monitor this for new information, but bring you the latest. So the Alexander Mountain Fire, the far larger of the two fires burning on the Front Range right now, has essentially doubled in size today. It is expanding on 3 of its 4 flanks, and firefighters have not been able to do any on-the-ground structure protection. They don't know they've lost a home, but they're not able to actually get in there and do that on-the-ground work.
Too much ground to cover, too much tough ground to cover, but the fire also doubled overnight, 900 to 1,800, now 1,800 to about 3,500 acres in size. They do say they have 270 firefighters there. They are still using plenty of air support. They're doing what they can with what is now a large and growing fire that has created a large and growing evacuation center as well.
It's a terrible situation given the weather conditions that we have right now. So you've got that large fire that's at 3,500 acres in Larimer County that is growing every which way but south. And what do you have have south, you've got a fire in Boulder County that's burning to the north, and their evacuation areas touch. I mean, it's just an absolute mess. Obviously, you can tell from the evacuation and the pre-evacuation areas where the concern is. There's not a lot of population to the north from there, right? Because you're talking about inside the Roosevelt Forest there. But when you start to go to the west, you get near Glen Haven. You know, eventually you're going to get over to Estes Park. That's a ways from there. But on the east, Loveland, right? So then you worry about it coming down the hill. That's where obviously they would make an enormous stand if they ever needed to. Let's bring in Steve Steger to talk about some new evacuation areas that we have.